Hi, this video will discuss monopolies, provide a definition, and also explain how a monopolist maximizes profits. An example. First, General Mills is the only maker of Cheerios. They're the only company that can stamp their name on a yellow box and call it Cheerios. Would you say that General Mills has a monopoly since it's the only maker of Cheerios? So there are two criteria you need for a monopolist. First, you have to be the single seller of the good, which General Mills satisfies here. But the second criteria is the good has to have no close substitutes. And that's where General Mills fails to meet that criteria, because there are other options you can get for cereal. You don't have to buy Cheerios. So the definition then of a monopolist is the only seller of a good with no close substitutes. A monopoly is said to be a price setter, not a price taker. Who's a price taker? That's the competitive markets. Monopolists, they get to choose the price. And a monopolist maximizes their profits by setting their marginal revenue equal to the marginal cost. And this should be easy to remember because it's the same profit maximization rule that the competitive firm used, setting MR equal to MC. So let me try another question for you about monopolists. If General Mills doesn't have a monopoly making Cheerios, how about this one? Greenville Utilities. They're the only provider of electricity in the city of Greenville, North Carolina. Would you say they have a monopoly? Well, recall the definition again. Monopoly, only supplier of the good, which Greenville Utilities is, the only supplier of electricity, with no close substitutes. And I would say, yes, Greenville Utilities meets both of those criteria. They're the only seller of electricity in Greenville, and there are not many good close substitutes to electricity. If you want to run the lights at your house, you'd like to flip the switch and turn the electricity on. You don't have to light a candle. So, yes, Greenville Utilities does have a monopoly on electricity. So that leads us to, why are there a single seller in some markets? And there must be some barrier to entry, which is preventing other firms from entering the market. That's why we have a single seller. So let's go through a few of these situations that could be a single seller. One is there could be a cost advantage to having a single seller. And this would be the case of natural monopoly or having economies of scale. The longer average cost declines with output. And this is the case for Greenville Utilities. They are the only seller or provider of electricity in Greenville because it's more efficient for only one company to supply electricity to a market. Because think of the other alternative. You could have two companies supplying electricity to the same neighborhood, and there you'd have two sets of power cables running into your neighborhood. Very inefficient. Most efficient, a single firm lays all of the electrical grid, and then every household or business that needs electricity in that market uses that same seller. There are other ways a firm can get a entry barrier, and that's a technical barrier to entry. For example, if a single firm has ownership of a key resource that you need to enter the market, and think of this example in the diamond industry, where the South African company De Beers owns the mineral rights to where diamond mines, where diamonds are located underground. So they have bought all these land rights, and so if I want to start producing diamonds, I need access to the land where diamonds can be mined. And hey, I'm too late. South Africa De Beers Company has already purchased these land rights. So they will have a monopoly going forward because they own the mineral rights to harvest these diamonds underground. Here's a diamond mine for De Beers. And finally, what else could we have a single seller? And maybe there's some legal barriers to entry that the government has created these monopolies. They have issued either a patent or a copyright to allow these inventors to profit from their innovations. So the government, for example, granted a patent to the makers of the COVID vaccine. So they were the first to come up with a vaccine. Those companies like Pfizer and Moderna got patented rights to that innovation, and so they can get monopoly profits the next 17 years producing those COVID vaccines. Finally, the other way that you can get a legal barrier to entry is the U.S. government or other countries' governments set a exclusive franchise. For example, for mail delivery, first-class mail delivery, only one company can access your mailbox, and that's the U.S. Postal Service. So this is an example that the government has created a monopoly and exclusive right to serve a market. We already mentioned the cost reasons. And why the government might want to have a single seller of the good, because maybe there was a large initial capital investment needed to produce a power plant, a nuclear power plant, or a large electrical plant. So they want to be able to recover these costs, and so we don't want duplicate plants being produced in a given area. So it's also cheaper potentially for a single firm to serve the market. So these are examples why you may have a single provider of the good.